Oh, Joseph Trujillo's in the voting line. Nice.
All right, well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Builders Best Practices call. This call happens the first and third Tuesday of every month on that cadence. We've been doing that now for, over 2 years. And the reason is we want to create a conversation together for our community of people that are really wanting to learn and grow and build, to share best practices, to be able to do things and be able to navigate whatever your specific dreams and goals are along the way. And so for those of you I might be meeting for the first time, my name is Casey Council-Geha. I've been a licensed real estate agent since the end of 2004. And my late husband, Rick Geha, and I have been with EXP since January of 2017. He celebrated his 43rd year in real estate last year in 2023, which was also the year that he passed away. So sad, however, we have a really rich and beautiful history with this community and with this company. And he would say, which is, I think, an important way to open this call and this conversation, that of the 43 years that he spent in real estate, his last 6 at EXP were the most rewarding, the most fulfilling, and the most lucrative. And that was after having run offices, run a top sales team in the area, been a part owner of 9 Keller Williams franchises at one point in his career, and really experienced every single aspect of the gamut of what's available in the professional industry of real estate, including being a top trainer, speaker, mentor, and coach in the industry. So we are very passionate about the opportunity here and what it can mean for agents as they pivot to build their businesses and their lives within this community and over this platform specifically, which is essentially, it's the best in the industry. And that is always a relative term, right? Best compared to what? So best compared to any cloud-based revenue sharing opportunity out there, based on the profitability, the sustainability, the productivity of transactions and agents growing their business, and the wealth creation proven through our system for anyone that wants to take advantage of it. So these calls are not so much production focused as they are really the skills and tools around building your own organizations within EXP and communities of that. And as we jump into this conversation, the title for today's call was meant to be a little disruptive, to bring the people that are ready to face that conversation head on into the conversation that we're going to have today, which is breaking through the lie that you've been telling yourself that's holding you hostage from building your ideal EXP organization. So I'm excited to dive into this conversation because it's confrontive. And whenever there's something that's confrontive, there's a possibility of change. I always like to say ABC does not stand for always be closing. It stands for awareness before change. And so before things can change in the way of results or outcomes, there's a greater level of awareness that's required to accompany that. So the initial part of this conversation is going to be around the opportunity to elevate awareness personally of where you're actually at versus where you think you're at. Then to get real honest about that and to have a clear path forward to what it is that you say that you want. So I'm going to have you take a moment and just bring to mind, each and every one of you, somebody that you can look at in the community or in the world of EXP that is already created an organization, one like that you would like to create that aligns with your vision of who you are, the size of that organization, the culture of that organization. I want you to bring that person to mind. And then you don't need to share the names of who they are. However, what I'd like to hear from everyone is, what are the traits or characteristics that had you identify that specific person as someone that you'd like to mirror, model, or create your version of what they've already created? So what are the traits and characteristics?
I'll go.
All right, Amberly, I love it. Jump right in.
All right, so some traits and characteristics of a group within EXP. There's a group where, they're just outgoing, they're authentically themselves, they're empowering others while educating, agents along the way. And so, that's something that I definitely admire and am trying to also strive for in what we're doing in our organization.
Okay. Do you happen to know the size of that agent's organization?
I don't. I'm gonna guess 1,200.
Okay. Okay, who else? Traits and characteristics, size of organization, what it is that you've been able to see and identify so far.
I would say consistency and just a genuine love for people and a kindness.
Okay. And do you know the size of the organization?
About 1,700.
And okay, great. Who else? Well, this is a very interesting quiet. Okay, for those of you that didn't bring someone to mind or aren't sharing about it, what is it that had you jump on this call today? Now everybody can answer.
I can share. Sorry, I'm driving and
That's okay.
we're going through a lot here in the car, and traffic. So I'm new to EXP and my fiance will be joining today, hopefully. He just got his license as well. And we love, there's a few couples that we follow that we see. We really like what they have to offer as a couple, power couple. So I think that's one thing that we would love to mirror, supporting each other and creating a community where people could join us and I think follow our lead in a sense.
Okay. And do you happen to know the size of their organization?
Ooh, no, good question. But I can find out. I can text them.
Okay.
Yeah, they're very helpful, very this couple's very helpful. Are we saying names? It doesn't matter who, no, right? Or you just want to know
Doesn't
like
matter who, just that you've identified them. Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Mary Ellen said confidence skills systems 8,000-ish. Okay. So I'm gonna have everybody put this in the chat right now. And these are two really important identifying questions before we jump into the live part of it. The first one is, what is the goal that you have as far as the size of the organization that you want to create? And why did you pick that number? So everyone in the chat, put the number, the size of the organization you want to create, and why you picked that number. And if you don't want to put it in the chat, you can come off mute and tell me. I'll capture it in the chat. Okay, Galen said 250. It's a stretch, but doable over the next 2 years. Why 250, Galen?
I think because it's attainable, it's just something, I'm at 35, 38. I said 35. That was last month. I'm at 38 and I've got a builder and a second builder who just contacted me yesterday. And I think with a couple of builders and myself, we can attain that. And it's inspirational. I think if you go to, we're going to be 20,000, which, I mean, that can happen, but I want to make a goal for the next year or two. So that's why.
Okay, and what will 250 agents mean for you?
Well, it'll mean a great retirement income, and it will mean just stability and the freedom to do the more fun part of real estate and be able to say yes to the clients I want to say yes to, and pass off the ones I don't.
Okay. All right, Amberly, you said, thank you for sharing. Amberly, you said 5,000. Why is your number 5,000?
You know, I just put a number out there. The reason, and I just want to revisit the reason why I'm on this call too, is I'm a big believer in getting back to basics. And right now we're going over our business plan, and I wanted to come back on here to see if I had any limiting beliefs that is, stopping me from adding more to our organization, what we're doing. 5,000 to me, just throwing that number out there without much thought, is meaning that clearly we're doing something right. Our organization is growing, it's duplicatable. And with that comes financial freedom. And so that's the reason why I chose 5,000, is just because I figured that number would be significant enough to where it's obviously attracting like-minded individuals to the organization.
Okay, and is there a financial aspect attached to the 5,000?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
And what's that number for you?
I mean, like to take home on a monthly basis? What do you mean by
Yeah, so with an organization of 5,000, what will be your target for take home and revenue share?
Take home and revenue share on a monthly basis? I would hope that I would be taking 200,000 a month.
Okay. Who else? Thank you for sharing.
Absolutely.
Glenn put his in.
Glenn, 100,000 possibilities limitless. I want growth to build growth. My team will be like an infection to add to your future liberty. Okay.
But the
Fantastic.
good kind of infection, not a bad infection.
Infectious or infectious.
Yeah, absolutely infectious.
I love it. All right, we'll take one more. What's your goal and why?
No number is wrong, guys. No number's wrong. There we go.
Mary Ellen, my goal would be 1,000 and or 40,000 per month, because that would allow for 2 people to go into assisted living if needed. Okay, love that. All right, so for every single person that's put down their goals, with the exception of Glenn, there's already someone in the XP that's created that. And there is a saying that is really true, that if one can, anyone can. So the next question I'm about to ask you is a really important question. And that is, what is the difference between you and the person that already has? And I want an answer from everybody on this one. What's the difference between you and the person that's already created what you want to create here? Mary Ellen says they're inviting people, more people than me, possibly. What's the difference between you and them?
I'm gonna go ahead.
They have the experience. Okay. Amberly?
I'm gonna say they have a system in place.
Okay. Who else? Burning desire. They have burning desire and commitment. They're taking more action than me, time on task and discipline. Not much difference, just consistent. Okay.
Coachable.
They're coachable. Okay, we'll put that in. There's one that someone has not said yet. Belief. Okay. While all of those are relevant, they are not the one thing that's different. The one thing that's different between you and someone that's already created the organization that you want to create is the way that they think. It's the way that they think. The way that you think is the filter that will filter the action that you go out and take. And that action combined with the belief that you have is going to produce the outcomes and the results. So let's take an example. let's look at Brent Gove. Is there anybody on this call that does not know who Brent Gove is? Just, it's okay if you don't, just raise your hand. Brent Gove. In case I know there's a newbie on the call, so I'll tell you guys who Brent Gove is. So Brent Gove came to EXP in 2016, and within 4 months of him being at EXP, he recruited Rick, my late husband. Brent and Rick thought differently. They were both going to go and create organizations within EXP. However, the way that they thought was very different. Rick's thought was, I'm going to focus on rebuilding my sales business and my sales team, get my debts paid off, use my influence to connect with people along the way that are in real estate and talk to them about EXP. Brent's thinking was, I'm going to totally replace my active income with leveraged income from EXP, and I'm going to do it as fast as I absolutely can, while still handling the responsibilities that I have on the real estate sales side and my real estate sales team. Those are two very different ways of thinking. So if you look at and fast forward to today, Brent came into the business 4 months before Rick did, into EXP, and has an organization of over 18,000 agents. Rick came into the business with just as much credibility and influence, if not more, I would say, because he had been on national stages and rooms and influence, tons of influence. And by the time he passed, the organization was close to 4,000. So 18,000 versus 4,000 in the essentially exact same 7-year window. So what I want you to look at right now, and we identified some of the things, is they're inviting more people to me, they have more experience, they have the experience, they have the burning desire and commitment, they have a system in place, they're taking more action than me, time on task, discipline, not much difference, just consistent, coachable belief. While all of those things are a piece of it, the main distinction is the way that you think versus the way that the person thinks it's already created the outcome that you want. And this isn't a good or bad, this is a reflection. So my question for you is, Glenn, if your desire, and I'm going to say no shit, no kidding, just because, you know, we can have hope dope and then we can have the reality of what gets created. I'm going to treat your goal like it's the reality of what you're going to create. What is the way of thinking that would be required for you to actually create that outcome in your lifetime? And if we go in your lifetime, let's say in the next 5 to 10 years.
My lifetime is going to be way longer than that, but we'll call it we'll call it 5 to 10. Really, it has to be a no give up, right? That my attitude is everything, in that, right? If when I hit 10,000 or 5,000 or even 500, that needs to be treated like that's a step towards that 100,000. And it really is about a mentality that just don't give up. You have to just keep going every single day.
Okay. What else?
It's really about creating a culture that makes people want to come, because it's not something that I can do all on my own, right? When I said the infectious or the infection, whatever it is that people have to want that. And so it's right, creating ambassadors for the team that build that. It's not something I can do by myself.
Okay. So there is, it's been said that results, sometimes harsh, are always fair. Results, sometimes harsh, are always fair. So based on the results that each of you have today, none of you have the thinking that is required to produce the outcome or the result. I'm going to say that again. Based on the results that each of you have today versus what it is that you say that you want your result to be, none of you have the thinking in place that will support or create that outcome or result. How do I know that? Because you don't have the result. So how
Say
do I
that
know?
again. Say that. How do you know that? Because what?
Because you don't have the result.
Oh.
Your result that you have today is a reflection of the thinking that you have that has created the result that you've got today.
Thank you for the reminder. See, this is why I'm here this morning.
It's not possible for it to be any other way, including me. I'm not at the number that I want to be. I'm not at the results that I want to be. Why I'm having this conversation for me as much as it is that I'm having it for you, right? So just to recap, because I know you're still digesting it, Galen. Results, sometimes harsh, are always fair. Your results will always be a byproduct of your thinking. Brent Gove has 18,000 agents in his organization as a byproduct of the thinking that he has about building an organization, about the people that he talks to, and those are the outcomes and the results that he has. Yes, it's been done through infectious energy and attracting other people to the organization because he hasn't brought all of those 18,000 himself. Given, right? Nobody's going to bring everyone themselves. Does he have infectious enthusiasm? Yes, he has infectious enthusiasm. However, the question is, if Brent wants an organization of 50,000 agents, we know he doesn't have that thinking. Why? Because he doesn't have an organization of 50,000 agents. So for those of you that want 250, 500, 5,000, what is the thinking that is going to be required for you to create those results? So there is a lie that every single one of you has bought into, whether you realize it or not. Some of you, it's, well, I don't have the systems. Some of you are, well, I don't have that enthusiasm. Some of you, well, I don't have the confidence. Some of you, all of these things are the lies that you're currently buying that are giving you the results that you're currently getting. Everybody's getting some kind of result right now. And a lot of times people don't like to look at the results because they then judge themselves about what those results are. And this is not a conversation about judging yourself for what the results are. It's about getting really clear on what is the thinking that's going to be required for you to create and produce that outcome. I think about a mentor that I have that is an incredible mentor. And he had a vision back in the 1980s to build a residual-based business, a leveraged income business that paid him $100,000 a month. This is in the 1980s. That is a lot of money today. That is a freaking lot of money in the 1980s. What did he do with that clarity and certainty? And he said he was going to have majority distribution in the company. He had 3 small children under the age of 6 at home. He had 5 months, $5,000 per month of living expenses in the bank, $25,000. He had a commercial real estate brokerage that he closed the day that he made the decision, and he never sold another piece of property. And he told his wife, "You'll see me on Sundays. Otherwise, 6 days of the week, you're not going to see me because I'm getting focused and this is what I'm going to go create." And he did it in a platform exactly like EXP with a different product. It wasn't a realtor and a real estate at the end of that. And he did. By month 12, he was 99,000 and change for the month, 12 months later. The way that he thought, he knew it was going to require radical focus to create a radical result. He wasn't going to be doing, well, I'm doing my commercial real estate over here, and I'm coaching my kids' softball teams over here, and then we're having date night twice a week over here, and we're doing all of this for the holidays. No, like the thinking that was required to create the result was, I'm going all in. It was a massive goal. And what is the thinking and behavior that's going to be followed up, that's going to be required to do that? So the thinking first and then the behavior second. The third thing that was really important was creating an environment that was actually going to support that. It was a singular focus. And what he would always say is that entrepreneurs are like this. They have these little antenna on their head at all times. Like, oh, there's opportunity. And oh, well, this could be fun. And this is going to be the newest thing. And this seems interesting. And I wonder if I could diversify and this could help me be part of the plan. Blah, 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 blah. And he would say, take your little entrepreneurial antenna and sew them to the top of your head and put blinders on like a racehorse has blinders on. So all they can see is what's in front of them. And then you give it your all and you go. And that's what he did. And today, 30 years later, he's still 65%. His business represents 65% of more than $2 billion a year that happens in the company 30 years later, because of what he did for those years of being intensely focused, being willing to pay the price, having the thinking that was going to support the outcome that he wanted to create. So what I would say is the lie that each of you is bought into is different for each and every one of you. And in most cases, it's the hope dope about what you think is going to happen versus what it's actually going to take. And what you may or may not be honest with yourself about is the willingness to do what it's going to take to create what it is that you say. And is it for a lifetime? No, it's for a time. So when for a time you completely refocus, restructure, go all in for a time, and you do that, let's say, so let me take somebody's specific goal that's in here. Let's take Amberly's because yours is 5,000. Let's say for the next 3 years, like your life depended on it, that was your focus. And
I'm
for
ready.
for 3 years, you sacrificed a lot of things. Not your family, of course, not your health, of course, not sacrificing the important things, but all of the things that were the distractions, all of the things that you wanted to do, but that weren't going to support the outcome that you wanted to create. And you for 3 years, like got laser focused and went from where you're at today. What's your number today for your organization?
Believe we're at 70.
So you go from 70 to 5,000 in 3 years.
Let's go.
And 3 years from now, you look up and you have a whole different set of choices. Your whole different set of choices is, I'm not doing anything I don't want to do. Because for 3 years, I got laser focused and I thought I thought in the way that was required to think, which here's some things that would go with that. Never miss an event and never go alone. So that means every single event that happens, you're there and you've got a goal of how many people you're bringing with you that are not yet with us. Is that 10? Is it 20? Is it 30? Is it 40? I don't know, based on your goal and what's the caliber and quality of those people. So you know the events for the year. You're attending the events for the year. You're registered. So the next event would be Cabo and EXPCon next year. And you've already got something mapped out of who all the people are that you currently know, space for the ones that you don't know yet, and a master plan that is like laser focused into that. That's a demonstration of the kind of thinking of what is going to be required. And then backing that out of, okay, if I want 5,000 people in my organization, let's say, 100 people in an organization would be life-changing, because that's going to be, but depending on the productivity of that agent, that's going to be between $5,000 and $10,000 a month in revenue share for an organization of 100 agents. And so that's life-changing for the majority of people. So if you made it and broke it down really that simply, if I had 500 people that all wanted, 100 agents, well, that's 50,000. So what about 50 people that want to grow organizations of 100 agents? And there's your 5,000. And you work and you help and you grow and you have that enthusiasm and you have that focus. I know you're still selling real estate. Does it mean that both can't be done? No, Brent did it. Rented 18,000 in 7 years. There's no reason, and it's already been done. It's like 4.5-minute mile. So can you do 5,000 in the next 3 to 5 years? Absolutely. It's already been done. It's already been done by multiple people, multiple times over. And so when you start to like really get clear, part of it is the ownership of my results today are a reflection of thinking I've had up until this point. Is that thinking going to serve me to create the results that I say that I want? If the answer is no, then that question becomes, what is the thinking that's going to be required for me to have to then go take that action to create those results? Knowing that our results are always a reflection of our thinking. All right, that was a lot to digest.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Questions, comments, feedback, distilling it down, pushback, like anything. What you guys got?
I want to know your schedule the next 365 days.
So here's what I'll say is that my dream is to be on back-to-back third-party validation calls to be helping and supporting people in growth. I'm also getting out and going and doing that at events. I'll be in Chino Hills on the 21st, doing the keynote there for that community down in Southern California. And yes, for people that are putting people in the room and people in front of me, I will match energy for energy. And if it's not available on the calendar, text me off the calendar and I will find a time that is available that is not on the calendar. So yes, I'm all in. Some of you guys look really sad and depressed.
I think we're just thinking about what is limiting us, and you know, I can just see where explosive growth comes from. I know my first goal was 100, and then I went to the 250. You know, because I think that's just for me to think of. You know, 20,000. I do think it's doable, and I think as you know things people continue to pick up and grow, then you know that is definitely attainable. But for now, just trying to figure out what I'm, you know, I do know the one thing that one of my business partners that came with me, she said the thing that she loved about me was I had courage, because you know, I've stuck out there. I'm brand new starting, and I said I'm gonna have 100, and not brand new. I had like probably 10, 12 at that point, and and so that was the one thing. And so I think sometimes we have to lean into our courage more and just not worry about rejection, because we're not going to get anywhere if we just sit here and sit in our seat and wait for somebody to call us.
Yeah. So there's one thing that everybody on this call is doing more than likely, and that is you are comparing what you've done up until now to gauge what it's going to take for you to get to where you want to go that you've not yet been. I'm going to say that again. You're going to take what you've done up until now to gauge what it's going to take and how long it's going to take for you to create somewhere that you've not yet been. And what that is going to do, that is the lie that you're telling yourself, because that is going to sabotage you every time. And what it takes, the thinking that it takes, is getting up and creating something from nothing every day without regard to what happened yesterday or what it took to get to yesterday. Right? So when I think about this last year, right, I've been, navigating all of the things with Rick's passing unexpectedly, and the businesses and everything there was to take care of in life. And there is personally sponsored 5 new people that have joined the organization as a result of me. I take that back. 4 as a result of me, 1 as a result of Selena. For what we look at, like when I look at frontline growth, right, for the organization, personally sponsored agents. And then I think back to, there was people that were with us in Cabo in March that are still in process, however, not yet here. And if I use the lens of, okay, I did a great thing, I showed up at the event, we had people at the event that weren't yet with us, and that's a really key piece in building someone's belief and vision, is getting to the event and bringing people to the events. And then I start to gauge what it's going to take from where I'm at today to get to where that goal is. And I look at the process that these people have been in that were at Cabo that are still not yet with the XP, that are closer and getting closer, however, not yet here. And I start to go, okay, that was how many people, and that's been how many months off that one event. And then how many more people am I gonna have to have at Cabo? And this year, if it takes them that long, in their own process and their own time to do that. And all of a sudden, I start focusing on how it's gonna happen based on something that's happened in the past versus creating something from nothing. Which is every day I get up with a fresh set of eyes and I'm like, there is somebody ready to go right now today. It's just I haven't connected with them or been in front of them yet. Who's ready to go today? You're not ready to go today? Okay, well, you come along in your process when you are ready to go. Who's ready to go today? Right? So Selena and I had a conversation yesterday and I said, my goal is to be on at least 10 third-party validation calls a week. Now, truth be told, to hit the goal, that's the no shit, no kidding. To hit the goal, I know that's more like 25 to 30 validation calls a week to hit the goal that we want to hit and the timeline that we want to hit it. Right? Because I'm not okay with it taking another 15 to 20 years to do it. Right? Everybody says, oh, enjoy the journey. Yes, you can enjoy the journey and you can drag it out and have it be really painful, or you can enjoy the journey with hyper intense focus and creating some momentum and that infectious energy that Glenn was talking about, where you create personal momentum and things start to take on a life of their own because you're on fire and people are coming to watch you burn. Two very different ways of thinking, two very different ways of building, right? And I would challenge you, right? If you look at Brent's organization of 18,000 and ours of close to 4,000, it is highly unlikely, possible, it's highly unlikely that our organization will outpace his organization. Why? Is it possible for it to? Yeah, it's possible. However, it is the same thing of why you look at EXP in the industry as a cloud-based revenue share company versus the 27 other ones that are attempting to do something in the same space, is because the foundation that's in place with the players that are in place, the influence they have over the platform of EXP that's foolproof, and where that's at this moment in time over that is just different, right? So if you really want to create and have today be like, today is a new day, tomorrow is a new day, every day is a new day, and whatever that number is for you and whatever that number means for you is inherent to you. I want each of you to write on a sticky note, what is the thinking required for me to produce that outcome? And then the second sticky note I want you to write is, and stick it on your computer, is what I'm doing right now getting me closer to that or further away? So what is the thinking that is required for me to produce that outcome? And then is what I'm doing right now getting me closer to that or further away? So it takes being rigorous. Most people that are, there's behavioral styles that some people inherently have an easier time with this, right? So for people that are high Ds and high Cs, they've got the drive and they've got the focus. Nathan that I talked about earlier, yes, that was him all day long. You'll see me on Sundays slide food under the door. It's going to be, 6 days a week. Here's my target. Here's where I'm going. This is what I'm doing. I don't know how. However, I'm going to leave it all on the field. Very clear on what the objective was. And he did it. And then there is where many realtors fall, which is that high I, like, I can do this and I can do this and I can do this and I can do this. And oh, let's do some of this and some of this and this. And like, yes, it's all going to happen. And I'm sorry to tell you, it's not. Because if you've got a big, what Rick would call hairy, audacious goal, it is going to require a thinking, a level of focus, and an execution at such a high level to create that. I don't care if that is being number one in your market as the person that's selling the most real estate, or somebody that's going to go on and from nothing build an organization of 5,000 in the next few years. right? And so some of you will have to be aware of the behavioral style that you have, and then put checks and balances in place for you to actually support or create an environment that's going to support the outcome, right? Then others of you behaviorally are really high S's. So you're going to want to like make sure everybody's having a good experience and go around like helping and helping and helping and helping, what I call mother henning. And mother henning doesn't support growth, and it's not going to get you there, right? So there's going to be things that naturally, yet people that mother hen are great connectors, right? So how do you take the strengths that are inherent to you, be aware of the blind spots, know that at any moment in time, like there's a lie that you're telling yourself if your results aren't what you want them to be, and just pivot. Like, what is the thinking that would be required for me to have to actually create the outcome? Some of you are great at doing events, right? But you've got no follow-up system or strategy after the event, right? So, oh yeah, I can bring a bunch of people together. However, am I having appointments with them in the next 24 to 48 hours? Do I have next steps with all of them? Is that getting scheduled before we go to the event? So some of you will have a bunch of people come together in an event and just be like, oh yeah, this is going to create curiosity. People are going to come to me. They're going to be attracted to what I'm doing and talk to me. That's going to be a very slow, costly way to attempt to build an organization, right? You've got to have a strategy, an executable strategy, and a business plan that's going to go with that. So these are all ways to start thinking. And then, another way of thinking is, am I going to go for the low hanging fruit, which are the people that I feel that I'm more successful than, that I feel that I'll have influence with because I am more successful than them? Or am I going to go for people that I might perceive that have more influence, more success than I do? Because successful people with influence are going to bring over hundreds, even thousands of people. And then the thinking is, how hungry am I? If you look at the person that sponsored Brent Gove, her name's Sheila Fageron. She did not know Brent Gove. Brent Gove with the 18,000 agents. She had met him at a real estate event. He had no idea who she was when she reached out and called him and asked him to take a look, right? And not only did he take a look, he came over and he named her as his sponsor. Nobody knows who Sheila is. Everyone knows who Brent is. She had courage. She was not going for low-hanging fruit. She was going for the most influential people that she could connect with or get in front of, to get this in front of them, knowing what happens when you take somebody that's highly successful and influential and you give them a really incredible opportunity. They're like, thanks for the opportunity. I got it. I'll take it from here, right? You don't see Sheila on stage with Brent. You see Brent at Brent's events doing the things that Brent does, right? So what's the kind of thinking that it would require for you to have to go be in conversation with those kind of people intentionally and strategically? That's different from the thinking that you have today if you don't have those kind of people in your organization. What is the lie that you're telling yourself? Oh, well, I need to be more successful in real estate. Oh, I'm a new agent. Oh, well, they don't know who I am and they're huge in my market. Lies, 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 lies. Those are all lies. They're not true. There are things that you are putting in your own way that are holding you in the space that you're held in right now, which is called your current result. A lot of times people will say, Casey, let's have a warm and fuzzy conversation. And you can see I'm really good at them. Warm and fuzzy. Warm and
Dying
fuzzy.
laughing at Glenn. I'm sorry. He's like, nope.
Your face says everything. Warm and fuzzy conversations are not going to get you where you want to get, right? Like, what do I care? And this is a way of thinking that some of you may want to adopt and take on. I do not care if you like me at all. What do I care about? I care about you getting what it is that you say that you want, because when that happens, you are going to love me. I care way more about being loved than I do about being liked. So I'm willing to not be liked, to tell you the honest truth of the lies that you're telling yourself, the hope dope that some of you are smoking, and the reality that some of you have not accepted, that your current way of thinking has produced your current results. And to create different ones, it's got to change. It will necessitate change, right? Because I want you all to have what you want. So when you're out talking to agents that are like, I love my broker. How many times have you guys heard people say that? I love my broker. Great. I would hope you don't work with someone you hate, but that does not change the fact that you are at a dead end opportunity and you have a limitless opportunity over here. So why would you love your broker more than you love yourself and your family? How many of you would actually say that? Being willing to have honest conversations that are true and coming from, you want my scripts. I don't have scripts. I just have stuff that flies out of my mouth when I get all spicy.
Yoda.
Right?
You're Yoda.
So I get spicy when I get passionate about other people getting what they want, right? I think about like, Rick and I had been anywhere else and he passed away last year. I would be up a really big creek with no paddle, drowning. And life would look very different. However, because of a decision that he made in 2017, and then what subsequently took place after that, that is not the case. Most people are not set up in that way. And they're not worried about it because those kind of things happen to other people, not to me. And I hope they don't. I know they could, but I'm going to plan on that they don't. And I'll just keep doing what I know how to do and everything will work itself out and be okay. Well, the truth is life is coming for every single one of you. And it's just a matter of when. And when I say life is coming for you, what that means is that your life is going to demand that you not be working, that you be 100% present and focused either on something that you're going through personally or somebody that you love more than anything else is going through. And the question is, are you going to be set up for that time or not? And if that time was 60 days, okay, good. What if that time was 6 months? What if that time was 2 years? Do you really want to be in a conversation of, I can choose to be with and on the thing that is most important to me in my life, or I got to be worried about being out here selling real estate or finances or what's happening financially or what is or is not happening over here. And now my time and energy is not where I want to be. Because until you can own your time and own it for the rest of your life, that is a situation that you're in. And it is the harsh reality of every single real estate agent. So now that we've had this encouraging, uplifting little pep talk, would love to check in on, okay, takeaways from the conversation today, change the energy to end it on a high note, and think about, oh my goodness, if anything's possible, which it is, if anything's possible for you, which it is, and all that it requires is for you every day to get up with the thinking that is going to be the thinking that's required to have the outcome, because that thinking is going to produce your actions. And that's the one thing there is for me to do. Get clear on that thinking, check in on if it's aligned with what I'm actually doing. Get clear on that thinking, check in on what it's aligned with what I'm actually doing. Start fresh every day. Forget what happened yesterday. I'm starting like all of my energy, my intention, my focus, my love, my passion into today. Who's gonna be the beneficiary of that today? Who are the people that are looking for me that don't know that they're looking for me until we find each other? And it's like, oh my goodness, where have you been the last 6 months, 12 months, 5 years? Like, this is what I'm looking for. All of those people are out there. They are out there. It's just a matter of who's going to reach them first. Is it going to be you or is it going to be somebody else? Okay, that was the uplifting part. Now we'll do takeaways.
I was totally late to the call, but I really liked what you said about is what I'm doing right now getting me closer or further away. And I think I need to like really set my goals. I haven't done that yet because I'm just starting to get my feet wet with like the building, but just setting my goals, especially now, and figuring out what I'm going to do to get there. Like I love that mindset.
Fantastic. I know somebody that will support you with that. Who else?
I'll jump on. Takeaways along the same lines as like, is my thinking getting me closer or further away from my goal? And my thinking has been production. And I'm ready to switch that. It's been production, and yeah, I haven't been thinking of growing the organization as much as what I've been telling myself, but the reality of it is I haven't been. So I'm ready to pivot on that.
And that is that is the huge first step, is telling the truth. Right? And we know what is important to someone based on where their time and energy goes. So when you can just say, I've been saying this is what I want, and this is what's important to me, but my time and energy is going over here, over here, over here, over here. Okay, now we've got an honest conversation, and when you're honest about where your point A is, energetically, things immediately start to open up because you've taken ownership versus be in denial about, well, it's just not all the reasons why, and excuses and justifications about why not that can be written outside of that. Love that. Great job, Amberly. Who else?
I always make excuses for why what's happening right now is good enough, right? This is good enough for today, for this moment. And that's not the case. It's not good enough. It's not where I want to be, and it's not where I'm going to be. So I did my Post-it, and I even plugged it already into ChatGPT, and I told ChatGPT to remind me of my motivators, and it actually said those are powerful motivators that will keep you on track as we push forward. Let me know if you need more support or additional strategies to keep up the momentum. So the fact that I said update your memory with this, and know that what I plug in there will help me to move forward.
I love that. And are you open to a powerful reframe?
Yeah.
What you said is, what I always say is, and then you said the thing, which I'm not going to say because I don't want to reinforce it.
Yep.
So the reframe would be, up until now, what I said was, and now it's this. So I think back to Jesse Itzler's not giving a pain a voice on the keynote from EX, right? And words have power, and the things that we say, even if they're said casually, still have power. So up until now, it was this, and now it's this.
Got it.
And then from now forward, that doesn't happen anymore. It's gone. And it's acknowledging that it was, but it's not an I always do or I always have. It's up until now I did, and now it's this.
Thank you.
Yeah. Reframe the identity. Fantastic. Who else?
It just this whole call just reminded me of the book that 10x is easier than 2x, and the principle of that is the stuff that got you to where you're at is not where you're going to be, and you can 10x by just having a different mindset and some different strategies and more activities towards those goals.
Yeah. And the 10x is easier than 2x is this concept that it is what you think is got to be radically different. It's got to be a whole different you. It cannot be the same thinking of the you that's gotten you anywhere up until today. So a question to get clear on that could be, what would the 10x version of myself be thinking right now? And then once you get clear on what the 10x version of yourself will be thinking, then what's the 10x version of yourself actually doing? Great. Who else? Takeaways.
So Casey, I love to spend money, throw money at the problem, and it's really over time proven not to be a thing. So I have an event that I'm flying someone in on for Friday. You know, what's the follow-up? Like, what is your recommendation of how you follow up with 25 people who are coming to a classroom type event? What would you do?
So never let an event go to waste. And if someone is going to actually come to the event, I want to have a one-on-one with them afterwards, even if it's 15 or 20 minutes in the calendar, for what their takeaways were so that we can anchor our learning and what they're committed to integrating. And in that space, this is how we become better together. So before you go into the event, have the follow-up time set, and maybe it's a half hour, you know, for the next day or the day after. In the next 24 to 48 hours, like immediately, like I want to support each other. Me support you. I'm looking for support as well. Here's what support would look like. Us getting 30 minutes on the other side of the event to talk about what your biggest takeaways were, what you're going to integrate, and me have the opportunity to share mine and for us to mastermind on those things. That's going to get you in the door in that conversation to continue it with them, where it can be an invite to a next step.
Okay, awesome, thanks.
And I don't pay for people. I know that Brent does. I don't pay for people because it's not duplicatable. Because if someone thinks I got to pay for people to be able to build and grow an organization, they're not going to grow and build an organization. I will position it so that people are getting value as a result of me being the person that invites them, like the Explorer Pass, the EXP Con, like different opportunities that are not open to everyone. But I am not paying for people to do anything. I will invest in someone with my time and with my energy. If I'm investing money in someone, it's over something monumental because we're in partnership and have created amazing things together, not because I'm attempting to get you to be in partnership with me. Somebody that is smart cannot be bought. And if somebody's looking to be bought, I would say question whether that's a cultural match for the kind of organization that you want to build. That's me. Totally different. Brent's not wrong. He has a different way of doing things. Okay, we have 60 seconds.
So how do you deal with something that you know probably is not the best use of your time?
Tell me what you mean by that.
Like I have an ex-student when I was a teacher who's reaching out now because a past client recommended me. It's just for a rental. It's not the least bit lucrative in my market. In fact, you probably lose money with the gas, and it's taking me away from my focus.
Yeah, so a reframe on that would be that how I've positioned myself as a professional is to be able to deliver the absolute best service and experience. And based on where my focus is right now, I know that they are not going to get that from me. So let me connect you with someone that I'm confident will be able to deliver that for them. And you refer it out. And thank you for thinking, always think of me, and I will always be upfront because that's going to be the most important thing, right? So you're not closing the door on business. You're being honest about where you're at and still having a solution for the person that's bringing someone to you. Great question. All right, well, this is recorded. It will be on the YouTube playlist, which you can find by going to empirebuilders.pro under the resources tab, where it says best practices, builders best practices call, and then call recordings. So that is a website. Selena, would you pop it in the chat for anybody that wants to grab it? And then that will be up later today. So here's what I want to say in conclusion as we wrap this up. Anything's possible. You'll know it's possible for you based on the thinking that you have. Your thinking is always going to correlate to the results that you're currently producing, and you are the person that is the gatekeeper for that. So the question to continue asking yourself and then calibrating with is, what is the thinking? Number one, be honest like Amberly was about where your true point A is, and then where your point B is, where you want to get to and where you want to grow to next. What is the thinking that's going to be required for me to actually create that outcome and pivot? And then we'll see you in 2 weeks on the next Builders Call. We're going to have another lively conversation. Great to see you all.